Welcome and welcome back to Single High. Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so that way you're notified and you don't miss a single high episode. All right, let's start the show. Eagles are the only team out of the three of us that didn't play this weekend, and somehow they still managed to be worse than these two guys. Welcome back to Single High. Welcome back to Single High.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another week of the Single High podcast. He's not lying when he says that. We had another fun, interesting weekend again, and it wasn't just in the NFL. We're gonna do a little. We're definitely gonna add a little skit in there about what happened in college this weekend. There was, there was a lot of upsets in college. There was some crazy games, but out of it all, it was a great week. It made for some very interesting games and some very close games too. This week was, I think, the best week. This has been the best week this far so far in the NFL. Like, just as far as like how close games were, or even sometimes like the teams you expected to win just get like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck that happened? I don't know, guys. Where do we want to start? Let's start with people who don't know how to stay healthy.
Yeah. No. We gotta cover injuries, bro.
Oh.
It's your format, nigga.
I know, right? My guy.
I was like, hey, Ravens Bengals.
No, he was like, let's start with people who don't know how to stay healthy.
No, yeah, okay, my bad. Alright, I'll list them out, alright?
Shows how much people listen to me, huh? Motherfuckers.
We got Nico Collins.
This is why people hang themselves.
Off of today's game, right? Derek Carr went out for potential hip injuries, not for back injury.
They said oblique.
Nico Collins, oblique.
Yeah,
cool.
that was the initial
Nico
report.
Collins, he had an injury related to with the hamstring. So
Hamstring.
He had a hammy injury, probably 2 weeks.
What's crazy?
Cooper
This is
Kupp?
what, the fifth big receiver that we've seen with like a hamstring.
No, man. These guys keep
Debo.
getting hurt left and right.
Yeah,
That's all I
it's
know.
kind of crazy. A lot of non-cac. And
Yeah.
proceed.
Well,
Yeah,
Debo came
Cooper
back
Kupp-
this week.
Cooper Kupp most likely is going to be potentially returning week 7, but it's not guaranteed. There's still reports out there saying that he might not. So that's still waiting.
At this point, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Rashee Rice confirmed out for the rest of the season. Kind of wild, but at least there's some hope in terms of him getting his LCL repaired. So that's good. In terms
They
of
said
him
that he's
recovering
out
and
for the
having a
rest of
full
the
season.
season.
Yeah.
Now, right now, as it stands, that's regular season. We don't know anything yet as to how fast he can recover, and if he might be back right before the postseason kicks off.
No,
there's
he's out. He's out for the year.
I don't know, guys.
No,
LCL repair.
yeah, Hollywood Brown might come back for the playoffs, and that should happen before the season started. Like, he's not coming back. Yeah.
All
Rasheed-
right.
Rasheed's
Well,
done.
He's out. And
if
then
he does, then
Xavier
what
Leggett-
happens?
I don't know. Fucking.
We'll get there. Xavier Leggett, I believe that was a concussion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nasty hit.
Yeah, he might be out for the next 2 weeks, so keep an eye on that.
So,
Because isn't it concussion protocols an automatic too, right?
No.
If they
no,
confirm he
no.
has a concussion, isn't it an automatic too?
No.
Depending on the severity of it.
No, he just has to clear. You can actually come back the next
Day to
week.
day. Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay.
Devon Achan, concussion. Aaron Jones, hip issue. That one took him out of the game. Same with Devon Achan. And Josh Allen, he went back into the game, but the hit that he took ended up being kind of like a concussion, where he kind of got knocked out, and then he woke back up due to apparently smelling salts. So we'll see how that goes. If he does make a full return for this game or not. And then on some positive news, we do got Devontae Smith making a potential return week 7. Same with AJ
Week
Brown,
6.
7.
Okay, that's the one I
sorry,
think I
week
saw that
6.
said guaranteed week 7 comeback. I think that's what it was. I think it was Smith. I don't think it was the other one.
Okay. But
Yeah, I
there's
think I had
some
read
positive
something that
news.
said he was going to be back week 7. Because I think I read it when I was setting up Jasmine's fantasy roster for her. Because she has Devontae Smith on her roster. Don't get too happy, Louis. Don't get too happy. It was like him or fucking, like Wandale Robinson at the time when we didn't know if he was going to pop off.
Those are the main injuries that were for this week. So some big names in there, of course, especially Aaron Jones. I know a lot of people.
Yeah, that's one of my
from
biggest
Minnesota.
concerns.
They're very happy with his production, but as everyone knows, he hasn't had a fully healthy season. Very similar to James Conner, so don't be surprised if you see James Conner eventually on the injury report as well. They are very similar in their regards of consistently getting injured. But yeah, those are some of the injuries. So especially with you say Derek Carr, that one has a big effect on Kamara's output, Olave's output, Rashid Shaheed's output. So
Raheem Shaheed's, yeah.
you can see them.
It does.
If he's out for a game.
It does and it doesn't. So nothing against Jake Hayner. Hi ho, Fresno State. Good kudos to make it to the NFL. But if they just take the slightest chance on Spencer Rattler, I think they would get more production out of the offense than if they took the chances with Hayner. That's my personal opinion. And there's no. I'm basing that off of his. I'm gonna call it cockiness, because until he starts winning against some, first string people, that's exactly what it is. But with cockiness comes confidence. So, this preseason he showed a lot of confidence. He went out there, he did his thing, and there was a lot of good things to be said about him in the off season. I didn't really hear too much about Jake Hayner in the off season as opposed to Spencer Rattler. So I think that's just like my basis on it. I think that's my.
I would say I would kind of go a little against that. I would just say, I think if it was a longer term injury, I think if it's a long term injury, I think they look at Spencer Rattler. But I think because Hayner has been in the system a year longer, knows the offense, is more familiar with the players and like has a better rapport. He's played on the second team all last year. Probably was part of scout team. Like, I think he probably will get the reps if it's only like missing a game or two. So, but I do agree. I think Spencer Rattler is like a better, like, if you were to try
option
to build the team around him.
But at the same time, right now, the Saints got to look. They got to look into doing something until they can get Carr back to try to keep those dubs up, because they've taken back-to-back losses now. They didn't win last week either, right?
They lost to Atlanta Falcons, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, duh. That was such a great game. How did I fucking forget that one?
Yeah.
But the point being is that they've already taken back-to-back losses. They're in a position where it's like, okay,
3 losses.
Yeah. They lost
see what I'm saying? 3 fucking losses straight. So, and that's with their starting quarterback with Derek Carr. At this point, it's like, we tried Hayner. I mean, yeah, it was really like just kind of threw the fucking bag on him. It was like, well, pull through, kid. I hope so. But, I mean, for the most part, he didn't do too bad. I don't think he did great.
I mean,
I think it's up in the air. I think if I'm the coach for the Saints right now, I think it's in the air. I think I'm trying both of them out until I get positive word on what's going on with Derek Carr, and we go from there.
I mean, I feel like that's already been done, and that's why like Hayner was the one that entered the game and not Spencer.
That or Spencer wasn't there.
No, because of you guys, teams carry 3 quarterbacks now.
Yeah. Yeah, you can thank us for that. You guys are welcome, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah.
Because literally, if it wasn't for us, you guys would be so fucked.
Be emergency quarterback. Yeah.
How much did you guys judge me if you saw some 7-Eleven pizza show up? Imagine who?
I wouldn't judge you at all. I've eaten 7-Eleven pizza.
It's actually bad. The only reason why I like it is because it has a little cube pepperonis in it.
A little fucking the school lunch pepperoni. Yeah. Like no shit.
I'm traumatized by my youth.
But nah.
They programmed me.
I mean, obviously we'll get into the games. I think just kind of like an overview. I do feel like kind of the first few weeks of the season have almost felt like college, if it makes sense. And where there's been a couple of like close, good games with like hype moments, and then there's been just like quite a few blowouts where just the games are kind of just decided by like halftime. There's not like been like many comebacks, it feels like once a team gets to a lead, a bigger lead, it's just kind of over. So it's just like Alabama versus UL Monroe. Like what the fuck? So some of these games have been really bad. So, I mean, Rudy mentioned it. Like, this week was a good game, or a good week for games. Like, I felt like, in the morning slate, the afternoon slate, and in the primetime games, we actually got some close matchups.
Well, I mean, you guys see it.
so-
Like, I get into this shit. I don't, you know, what I mean, I don't care who's playing. I love a good game. I was even able to get into my brother's lame ass fucking Cal Bears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Playing a whole.
This week, what started off really was the Bucks and Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thursday
it
night.
really
Set the
did. That
tone.
was such a good game. But I mean, at the same time, we were even talking amongst each other, saying how good of a game it was gonna be. I think I'm the only one who
Cool.
sided with the fucking Falcons on that one. Am I?
Yeah.
Probably. I think
Yeah.
in terms of betting odds, if I'm not mistaken, the line was like at 44 points or something like that. They didn't expect it to be as high scoring as it was.
Yeah.
It ended up
Mhm.
being 66 total points scored, right? So it was a lot of points.
Yeah.
A lot of scoring. That's what, in terms of entertainment value. Right?
Yeah.
Right. You
Yes.
get hyped for the week. You get to see, Mike Evans.
I'm not gonna lie, this week-
Well. Similarly, Drake London doing really well. And then the only time that we kind of see a little fall off was with Bijan.
Yeah.
That was only down.
That was upsetting.
Side, but
No, I don't want to hear it. That was upsetting.
themselves performed really well,
Mhm.
right? Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, both had a great game. But
Kirk
I
Cousins
would
had
like to watch
over
how Kirk
500 fucking yards passing, bro.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's
Don't get me wrong, the completion to incompletion ratio wasn't too great, but I mean he was taking some fucking shots. I'm actually looking at the stats right now to see
Oh.
because
Fun fact about that.
he there it is. He 42 for 58, which still isn't bad. 16 off. I mean, not you still don't want to see 16 up there. That's not great. But for 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and I believe the interception was a deflection, wasn't it?
not sure. Not sure.
Or was it like he got hit like right in the middle
no,
of it? It wasn't
no,
like
he threw a terrible pick.
was
it
it a
was-
terrible
yeah,
pick?
it was from, like, his 30
Yeah, maybe,
on
it
a-
might have been.
It was on a 4th down play. They were trying to convert on 4th. He rolled to his right.
Oh yeah, I
threw it,
think you're
and it
right,
was
and it just took
straight
it all the
to
way back to the house. Yes, you're correct.
No, they downed it there, but I was laughing actually because if the defender would have just knocked the ball down, they actually would have gotten the ball back like 10, 15 yards up. But because he caught it and went down with it downfield, because it would have been a turnover and they would have gotten the ball at the line of scrimmage. So him catching it actually made the offense, like the Bucks offense, lose yards. So I thought that was kind of funny. Hey, that's just football IQ. Some players, they'll knock it down. You're like, why'd you knock it down? Well, because there you go. But anyways,
I'd rather get the ball over there than back here.
Yeah, that game, the last time that somebody threw for 500 yards, if I remember correctly, they lost that game, and that was the 2018 Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles, New England Patriots. Tom Brady threw for over 500 yards in the Super Bowl and lost. That's crazy. Yeah.
That is
That was
insane.
crazy. And this was close. Like he threw 500 yards and they almost lost.
So
Yeah.
It went to overtime.
Yeah.
another one. I mean, yeah, we talked about injuries, and yeah, it was shitty to watch it happen. But another one, the fucking Minnesota Vikings. They did it. They pulled it off.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to play in those overseas games. It started off a little rough. It was raining. Aaron Rodgers had a rough game.
Aaron Rodgers looked like shit. He looked.
Yeah,
40.
he did.
He
Yeah,
looked
he
all of
played.
40.
He played bad, but at the same time, it was raining, and there was a lot of drop passes by the New York Jets receivers, especially Garrett Wilson. He had quite a few drop passes. Actually, let me look that up for you guys as
They
well
couldn't establish
too.
a run game.
Nope.
They couldn't
Yeah.
establish a run
Nope.
game to stay their life.
Mm-mm.
I think
Mm-mm.
rushing wise,
9 carries for 23 yards by fucking Brees Hall, and then 5 carries for 13 yards by Breon Allen. But right here, Garrett Wilson, I'm trying to see the actual stat line. He had 22 targets and he only brought in 13 of those. That's what I'm saying. Like he had a pretty fucking rough game.
That's a fucking
And-
insane stat.
I'm gonna say, yeah, you know what I mean. 22 targets, like that's a lot of fucking targets.
There's guys who don't
You
have
know
that many
what I mean?
attempts.
You get.
Like, throwing the
Yeah,
ball.
well, the targets are the attempts, I guess you could say. Oh, yeah, you're talking about
Like
attempts
a
throwing the ball.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Aaron Rodgers, he had 54 attempts. He went 29 for 54 for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. But like I was saying, though, you know, almost half of those, literally almost half of those were to Garrett Wilson. He dropped 9 of those, and he only had 1 touchdown and 101 yards. Like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and try to shit on him too much. It was raining, and it was like pretty raining profusely. Like every time they showed like the close-up camera angles, you could see the rain in the background dropping. and that's how you know, like, okay, yeah, it's probably it's coming down over there. Because if we could see it through the camera, you could usually know it's pretty bad. You can still usually see how bad it is.
Are we able to crown the Vikings right now as like the top defense just in general?
The Vikings right now, as it stands, I don't think anybody comes close to them in the NFC when it comes to that first place position. I think they have the conference right now by a decent amount.
The only
They have
team,
defense overall.
the only team, and I fucking hate to admit it, and we'll get to see next week. I think after next week we'll be able to determine this. Is the Washington Commanders?
That's I was gonna say I think there's maybe one other team.
because they play the Ravens. This is their
But
biggest
in terms
test.
of points allowed, like they allow a lot of points, don't they?
Or are we talking about we're
Nope.
talking about like the
It's
best
the
team, or
Vikings,
what are we
yeah.
talking about?
The Vikings are at the top of the conference right now because they're still the only undefeated team
Like,
outside of the
number one
Kansas City
defense
Chiefs.
Oh, number one.
But-
Yeah,
Oh, number one defense.
yeah, it's the Vikings.
Yeah, number one defense. In
The
league.
Vikings.
It would
Yeah,
probably
the
be
Vikings.
Vikings.
are insane.
Yeah, the
They're
Vikings are it right now.
insane.
Right?
Both either conference.
They have only
insane.
allowed 76 points to themselves. The next person in line is allowed 115.
Yeah, like that's fucking
Yeah.
bonkers.
It is, and that's in
And-
5 fucking games, bro.
and-
And honestly, a majority of those points came from this against the Niners. I know that for sure. Who else did they play recently?
The Packers turned into a shootout.
Yes, that one was as well too. So a majority of the points came from that. But so I think about 70% or more, roughly around that, of those points came from playing the Niners and playing the Packers. But the rest of those points were just kind of spread loaded throughout the rest of the other 3 games. Like that's how good the defense was doing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So they're stopping powerhouse offenses. You know, they're making them go 3 and out. They're making them really putting in an effort to become strategic with them. And I've said it from the beginning. Sam Darnold, I've never had anything bad to say about him because if you put him in the right system and you put him with some good receivers and a good
I've had something bad to say
good
about him.
program.
He was dog shit in New York.
he'll get it done. He'll get it done. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he was dog shit in New York. He had nobody in New York.
Yeah, he did.
He really didn't have anybody. All right, they didn't prepare it. They maybe receiver wise, but not lying. Let's be
I think
realistic.
most
This is the
surprising
best.
team that they like shut down, you could say, is the Houston Texans. They held them to 7 points.
Yeah,
Like that's that. Like
Yeah.
that's
Was
pretty
who?
wild. You know, for 49ers, it was 17 points. Green Bay 29, Jets 17, right? And then they also played the Giants, but this is not when the Giants were good the first week.
Yeah,
But
the
in
Giants
the
didn't.
third week,
They didn't let the Giants score at all, actually, right?
no, and
They let them score once, or no,
Oh.
2 field goals.
and even the Giants game, I'll say this: we have now seen through 5 weeks that the Giants are they a world ender? Are they a world breaker? No, but are they a legitimate football team that can actually go out and like win a tough game? Yeah,
Yeah.
they played the
They just
Cowboys.
did.
They played the Cowboys tough. You know, like they just beat the Seahawks, who have shown that they've got a backbone. That's a
Bro,
good
they had
squad.
a blocked field goal.
You
Oh, that's
know?
another thing. There was a lot of those this week too.
Yeah.
Blocked field goals.
So, like, you know, that's insane. But so, just circling back to the Vikings, we come out here a lot of weeks and we talk about complimentary football, and obviously they're an outlier in terms of how the defense has been performing, but it's not the Steelers, where like the Steelers will play lockdown defense and just, I mean, we'll talk about the game, the primetime game in a bit, but I fucking hate watching the Steelers play. It is always the most boring football you will ever watch because they always take
Why? Oh
Hold
my
on.
god.
They always take whatever team that they're playing, and they're like, I know you want to do this, but I'm just going to bring you down, hip drop tackle you to the ground, and make you play at my level, and nobody's going to... I'm not scoring 20, you're not scoring 20. Motherfucker, it's like, yeah, it's like...
Okay,
it's
I was
so
gonna
dog shit.
completely agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, bro, but I cannot watch the Steelers game.
And Justin Fields is playing phenomenally. Like,
Yeah,
he's playing...
I can't do it. Like anytime I watch a Steelers game, bro, I like I said, I kind of get bored after a while. I'm just like,
It's just,
all right, let me put it on something
It's
else.
just mid. It's just mid. Because the
Yeah.
defense isn't great, but it just feels like a team plays against them,
The
and then it's
defense
just
isn't
their...
great, but you know what? If you know what it reminds me of, it reminds me of when J.J. Watt was still in and he was playing with the Houston Texans. That's what it reminds me of. It's like the Houston Texans. Like the defense isn't great, but they got J.J. Watt. It's like the Steelers. The defense isn't all that great, but they got T.J. Well, they got a Watt on their team. You
It's
know
not.
what I mean?
It's not even so much
And he's
that.
getting it
To
done.
me, it's more just like a team will make their silliest fucking like. There was no pressure on Dak Anyways, we'll talk about that. But so, you know, circling back, Complementary
I still want to
football.
know what
The Vikings
what,
aren't
said.
just going out and holding teams down to 14 points and scoring 17 and winning. They are legitimately grinding, putting teams in a fucking meat grinder offensively and defensively. Week after week after week. Like, you know, everybody talks about it. Oh, the 49ers are the best 2-3 team in football right now. Like, that's not a fucking false statement. The 49ers are still a good team at 2-3. Like, a great team, even, in the NFC. So, the fact that they did to them what they did to them, it's like...
The thing is it's because of the
fuck?
fact that we're still scoring a decent amount of points a game. That's what it is.
That's
so look at
funny.
the projected wins for the season for Minnesota.
As we've seen this game.
ESPN. According to ESPN, the Minnesota Vikings projected to win 6.8 games. I'm not saying they can't fall off.
I was gonna say, hey, you never know. They might fucking they might go 1-10 to finish the year.
Yeah,
But
I think Jacksonville Bears. I would still say those teams are both kind of like on the front watch. You know, kind of
absolutely.
this one game that they won that they did decent in. It's kind of like, all right, let's see if we continue the next game.
Yeah.
Right?
If you say so.
I think the Panthers, depending on matchup, they should have a bounce back. Colts, if they play Joe Flacco, they have a better chance of. So yeah, Joe Flacco had 3 touchdowns.
Sell high on all Colts receivers.
Yeah.
Unless you hear that Joe Flacco, because they announced. So that was another thing we missed in the injury report. The Colts have announced that they are only going to start Anthony Richardson once he's 100%. So if he misses,
As long as he's 99%, they're not going to.
So you better keep your fucking fingers crossed he doesn't come back.
So if he
if you are a Colts receiver owner, you better keep your fingers crossed. Same thing with the Panthers. You know, God, please protect Andy Dalton, because since Andy Dalton's taken over, you know, Panthers players have progressively done well. Chuba Hubbard is looking like a running back one. Even though they took a pretty solid L this week, he himself did not perform that bad. He had 13 carries for 97 yards, 1 touchdown. He went perfect again on receptions, but it was for -2 yards. That was the downside. And he did lose a fumble. He had a fumble loss this weekend.
Yeah.
Outside of the fumble loss, if he wouldn't have gone fumble loss, I think he was sitting at like a solid 19 points before the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, those are running back one numbers. You know what I mean? Like, the minute Andy Dalton took over, he went like 30-something, he went 20-something, almost 30 again. And then this one was just a bad game by the team all around, but he still produced, I say, 19 points. The fumble loss, I think, happened at the end of the game, and that was him just busting his ass trying to, get in there.
Yeah, I think in terms of, like, value, considering his draft position and everything, I feel like Chuba Hubbard's been really good.
Yeah, he's doing really good. The other team that is probably worth mentioning.
Hold on real quick, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, the other team worth mentioning that might be on Fraud Watch is actually the Buffalo Bills.
They've played.
If we're seeing a quarterback throw 9 for 30, like 9 completions, 30 attempts, right? That's kind of wild.
Maybe like Johnny
We're seeing
Manziel.
some disconnect. Maybe. We're seeing some disconnect between him and his receivers, obviously, where he'll throw a long bomb to Keon Coleman, actually get a touchdown off of that long bomb, but that's really like the highlight of that game, right?
Yeah,
but everything else is like really just not up to, I would say, like the Buffalo Bills' expectations in terms of where they're performing.
No.
So they're on fraud.
It is okay. It is and it isn't. Shakir, surprisingly, is doing phenomenally well compared to what anybody else would thought he was going to do. To be honest with you, but I think he's injured currently right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like that's the downside, which we kind of saw a trend of that throughout the previous years before too. He will miss games due to like injuries. I don't think we've seen anything too crazy from him for the previous years.
Was it a rookie last year?
I do gotta say that it is kind of interesting if one.
Yeah, even in college, he would miss games.
If one of the receivers is out, right? If I have Josh Allen, right?
But the thing is, they have plenty of receivers.
Well, I would expect Josh Allen, being the top QB that he is, to perform similarly to Patrick Mahomes if you have a receiver out.
He should be able to make them better.
He
No, I don't doubt that either. But I did see quite it kind of like the same thing that's hitting Brock Purdy right now. He did make some passes, and some of his receivers dropped some shit. Like there was one with Keon Coleman. It was like perfectly right there on the sideline. He just had to bring it in, and he dropped it. It's just like, my God, like
I think I think if you're 20 for 30, I think you can attribute it to that. I think when you're 9 for 30, you go,
No, yeah.
okay, you played like shit, my
this
boy.
game was bad
Yeah.
for him. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, there was quite a few drops from his receivers as well too.
Yeah.
That
Let's
was
assume
not
there were
exceptionally
6
well.
drops. Even if we assume there's 6 drops, bro still would have completed 15. Right, and that's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Assuming there's
Hold on, let
6
me
drops.
see.
So yeah, I would expect Josh Allen to hopefully pick it up after this, but there's someone that's like you kind of have to keep your eye on, just a little bit, especially if you're holding James.
Like right here,
holding
yeah,
other
see.
receivers. I'm sure most people that have Keon Coleman probably either dropped him or trying to trade them in a package deal somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, but look at this is what his receivers got. Keon Coleman 5 targets, 1.
Well,
Dalton Kincaid 6 targets, 2.
that doesn't mean that those
But
were
tell me
drops,
they
though.
dropped
Yeah,
It
no,
could have
I
been
know.
that it was
but,
out of reach. It could have been that it was
but I
out
did
of
watch the
bounds.
game, and quite a few of them were. I'm not gonna say he didn't have bad passes either. He did, but there was some like there was one I think Dalton Kincaid. It was just
My
oh, that was one that was an incompletion too, and that one was on the fucking coach. One of Dalton Kincaid's receptions, the coach should have fucking challenged it because even the commentators are like, there was no bobble, he had complete possession, like they should challenge that, and he did. He just ran on with the fucking play and punted the ball away. He punted the ball away, and they were just like, yeah, that should have been fucking challenged. I'm surprised we didn't see a red flag come out there.
Yeah, only 2 detractions is this. Hollywood Brown and Rasheed Rice go out for the season, and Patrick Mahomes is still being Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no,
Josh
without a
Allen.
doubt.
Josh Allen loses Khalil Shakir, and is no longer Josh Allen. And the only 2 times that they've played playoff contending teams in the AFC, that they're going to see these teams in January if they make it to January at this point. The only other team that you could argue would be the Dolphins, but really that wasn't the Dolphins because Tua leaves halfway through the game. Like, the only 2 teams that the only 2 teams that they've played that are actual playoff contenders, last week, they got fucking, come on, let's go, boy. They got put on a fucking leash and dog walked by the Ravens, and then this week they looked like dog shit up until the first half when Nico Collins goes out. They were down, by all means, they were out of that game by the first quarter. And only because Nico Collins goes out.
So they're definitely a team to keep an eye on. Fantasy-wise and just like in general, they're not performing to expectations.
Yeah.
Do we think that they'll get back to their standard?
Absolutely.
I think the Bills, Josh
They
Allen,
still get to play the
right?
Dolphins once. They still get to play New England twice.
And we can assume Josh Allen will do better, right? We can assume because he's proven a lot of people wrong in terms of can he make a comeback? Of course he can. He's Josh
Yeah.
Allen. So he's in those top echelon of quarterback. You don't expect this to be the norm.
Yeah.
The other game that I would say is like a pretty solid game to talk about is Baltimore Ravens versus Cincinnati Bengals.
That game was boring as
That one
fuck.
was a close one. That it came down to the wire, and it came down to Derrick Henry getting a break-off run.
Yeah.
51 yards at the very end in overtime that allowed them to steal it with the field goal, right?
But you also know what helped them a lot. You want to know what really helped out a lot in that game? Was the rediscovering of Mark Andrews. Went 4 for 5 with 55 yards and 1 reception that was over 20 yards. Yes, a lot of that did not start happening until the end of the game.
I think
It did not start happening until the end of the game. Trust me, he's on my fucking fantasy roster. He stayed at 0
I get
the
that.
entire game until like the 4th quarter came. That's why I said the rediscovery of him, because he was fucking quiet. Likely was getting it all, and Zay Flowers was getting it all the way up until the end of the game.
They're
So
hold on, let me see. Let me get the finger. They're this far from 5-1 or 5-0. I think it was Lamar Jackson playing like a 2-time MVP and not being a running back like we were fucking accusing him of, and actually what he tossed for like 500 yards. You know what I mean? 348 yards and 4 tutties. That's
yeah, but at the same time, it's like I said, he started rediscover. That's another look at when you rediscover Mark Andrews and you rediscover that he could get the job done. Look at 4 for 5 for 55 yards in like a quarter is not bad. All right, especially when you're quiet the last two and a half, 3 games, like this whole fucking season, pretty much.
Yeah.
I will say,
You know what I'm saying? So
I will still
you can
say
say
that
what you
Mark
want, but
Andrews-
fantasy-wise, he put up 9 points
I will say that Mark Andrews, fantasy-wise,
in
though,
a
is
quarter.
going to be pretty much irrelevant as of right now because it took them having to score 41 points to have Mark Andrews get 5 targets. That's pretty wild. So I still think.
I hope he
is
balls out next
irrelevant.
week. And I'm just gonna look at a bunch of you guys like,
No,
what do
yeah,
you know?
100%.
Dude, it would be
100%. I'm just
sick.
saying that
It would
if
be
he
sick.
didn't
No, it
come in-
wouldn't, because then you guys would be
didn't
like,
come in
damn.
till the fourth quarter to really do anything
I
or
don't care.
overtime, that's kind of wild. Like he is phased out. Isaiah likely got the 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So he's still the red zone target preferred over Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Where Mark Andrews used to be the red zone target. Like he was the go-to guy for any short yardage red zone look.
Yeah, but I feel like with him showing that he can still fucking catch the ball and get the job done within like a quarter and make his contributions, I think they're gonna start trying to find a way to fucking implement him a little bit more. That's what I'm saying. That's the beautiful thing about seeing somebody get rediscovered again. Because another one that got rediscovered, you know what I mean? Or let me rephrase that: rediscovered him fucking self was Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean? Like he fucking had himself a game. 8 for 12. 147 yards, 1 reception for over 20 yards, and 1 reception for over 40.
Yeah.
I think it was the same.
I don't want to get off the
it wasn't
Bengals.
same
I don't want to get
reception.
off the Bengals Ravens game.
Yeah, but I know, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
he's one that kind of went that way as well, too.
I
Bengals Ravens game, there's not much to say about that. That's the same game every single year. It doesn't matter what year it is. It doesn't even matter what their records are. It's kind of like the Niners with the Cardinals. It's going to be a fucking shootout. It's just,
yeah.
you know, some teams, they play each other, and it fucking goes to the T.
Well,
It
they're division
just
rivals.
happens. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
because of that. They even said it at the beginning of the game. They're like, these are always great and interesting games because neither one of them wants to fucking bend, and they just go all out against each other, and it really makes for a great game. I mean, as we saw, you know, it went into fucking overtime.
Yeah, but I do want to say, I think this game does lend a little bit of credence to what I was bringing up last week about Zay Flowers. Is it took a team dropping 38 points on them and forcing them into overtime for Zay Flowers to produce relevantly, like to produce like to
22 points.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like you said, like that. That I mean, that makes 1,000% sense. But you also got to come to the reality that, I mean, don't fix what's not broken. I mean, you still got Derrick Henry in the backfield, and if he's playing somebody like the Cleveland Browns, like I think he is next week,
Hold
they're
on.
just gonna keep running the fucking
That
ball.
is my point. That's my point.
Yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
but the good note is you don't want to get rid of those players because I did see people drop people like that off of their roster. Like I did for Jasmine. I picked up Zay Flowers.
I wouldn't.
Somebody dropped.
Yeah.
Somebody in Jasmine's league dropped Zay Flowers because he had that one bad game, and I was
Yeah,
like, that was fucking stupid.
I'm not.
Thank you though.
Yeah, I'm not saying to
And I
drop.
threw him on
Zay.
Jasmine's roster, and he actually racked up 15 points this week, and she was like, "Oh wow!" And I said,
Yeah.
"Look, when they play teams like this that they historically known to fucking have shootouts with, that's when it's great to have these motherfuckers. You keep these guys on your bench, and you watch who they're playing, and then from week to week, and then you decide to throw them in because you know they're going to perform against these guys because, you know, back against the wall, and you got to start letting Lamar Jackson sling it. He's not a bad quarterback, like you said. He can sling the rock, and we've already seen that. He likes to go to Zay Flowers. All right.
Yeah, man.
I will say, out of this game, though, one thing that did stand out, because obviously these teams do have rivalry. They are going to perform better. They are going to perform above expectation most of the time. But the one thing that was kind of interesting is Chase Brown doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We are seeing him.
I said that last week too, that he's
over
going
a
to keep
little bit.
doing good.
He's partially taking over. Zach Moss, I believe, did go down briefly, but if I'm not mistaken, he did come back into the game.
Yeah.
He did,
yeah,
but I
Chase
think
Brown
they
is-
started limiting his touches at that point just to make sure that they didn't push the issue.
Chase Brown is definitely someone that I know is already on people's fantasy radar, is already starting for people's fantasy teams. But as the season goes on further, you really have to see if
bro,
this guy's going to actually overtake and be the RB1 eventually. That one's
Maybe next
interesting.
season.
Maybe, could be. But you know, if Zach Moss does take another
Or-
injury and if he is out for games, he could be a really good RB1.
Yeah.
You know, at the level of like at least.
Or
James
who's to say
Conner,
that
where
they?
in terms of
I mean, the
fantasy,
Bengals don't do what, you know, the Lions did when, you know, with Montgomery and Gibbs. They just decided, hey, we're going to keep them both because they're both working out pretty well for us. You know what I mean? They could do the same thing with Moss. They could do the same thing with Moss and Brown. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, let's be realistic. When Montgomery went to the Lions, nobody expected him to be popping off over there. They all kind of were worried about his whole injury thing and this and that nature and all this other stuff, and how he was injury prone with the previous teams he was before. But then he just had an outstanding season. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then
and similarly,
same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jamar Chase on Cincinnati side, and T. Higgins. You're seeing T. Higgins actually, he's back. Bro got 9 receptions out of 14, right? So he is producing. He is Burrow's second.
Getting his fair share.
But he's for sure back.
But again, I think
at the wide receiver 2 mark, potentially going forward, we see him that when it's the shootout like this, you know, he has production.
Yeah.
So if it continues, it's like, okay, this guy's gonna be great to have in my lineup, that type of thing. But in general, we see him going back to being that secondary receiver. What's his name? Yosmas, or they call him
Iovasha or whatever. Yeah. Iovasha, is that what it is? Is that his name? Iovasha?
Is what I'm saying. He's out.
Yeah.
Higgins is back, and he's taking over that lead wide receiver 2 role.
Yeah.
That's cool to see them get back to, you could say, their roots in terms of how they're trying to win games.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that has to contribute, like my brother said, an equal side to what happened with the Ravens. Like, it took a team having to put some serious points on them to really start airing it out. Because I'm not saying that with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is obviously your WR1, just kind of like, you know, Justin Jefferson will be, no matter whether he's questionable coming into the game to begin with. Same thing as Garrett Wilson. We saw he still had a hell of a fucking game himself, fantasy-wise, you know, as far as getting the touchdowns and things like that. He produced, I think, like 30-something points in the second half, to end the game. And a lot of it came from the second half of the game. People like that, they're gonna show out no matter what, because it's just who they are. Like, they're gonna ball out.
I will actually. I do kind of have a counterpoint to that, but no, keep going. Okay. Not like counter, but just something that I did want to talk about, and it ties in with both you guys are saying. The thing is like how I was saying with the Ravens, like T. Higgins, I wouldn't even categorize him as a WR2, but if you need a bye week receiver for one, or if you know they're playing a shitty ass fucking team like the fucking Browns again or something like that, throw his ass in there. You know what I mean? Throw him in the mix in the flex area. Why? Because there's a solid chance that playing those teams, they're going to be airing it out and they're going to try to get the points up and they're going to do whatever they can. He's going to get a lot of feed time as well too. You know, or
question. Why would we not consider him a wide receiver 2 if he's on a high?
Because you said it yourself with Iovasha coming over and starting to take over a little bit more of that role.
No. I'm saying he's out.
He's phasing out. Yeah.
Like Yoshi, that's his nickname. I just remembered it now. Yoshi is out. He had 2 receptions two targets in that whole game. The next 2 were T. Higgins with 14 targets, Jamar Chase with 12. That's it. Like, Yoshi was the 3rd leading receiver at 2 targets. So I just don't think they were
counting. I don't think the Ravens were counting on T. Higgins to come back like that. I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket, is what I'm saying. Keep Iovasha, keep T. Higgins. They're great for a flex position. As far as wide receiver 2s, I think there's still better options out there. Another one that you might want to keep an eye out with too, when it comes to like wide receiver 3s, I guess you could say, or flexes. Just because of the recent injury that we talked about, would be with the Chiefs. We saw that Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get quite a few targets. For some reason, him and Kelsey were Patrick Mahomes' guys to go to this entire game, pretty much. Yeah. And surprisingly, you know, Juju Smith-Schuster made it worth it. Every target he got, like, he even made some catches where it was just like, oh shit, like, I can't even believe he fucking made that. Like the one where he was like sliding back, he actually pulled it in with his, like, that was a straight hand catch. Like, he just followed that all the way through. That was a phenomenal catch. You know what I mean? So he was.
Before we get to Juju though, I do want to kind of circle back because Luis did have a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree with both of you guys. I don't trust T. Higgins as a wide receiver 2. But I also don't think that like Jamar Chase is like pure wide receiver 1, set it and forget it, unless T. Higgins is in the game. That is what we're seeing. Seeing. T. Higgins opens things up so that Jamar Chase isn't just locked down and put in fucking hell. Because pre T. Higgins coming back from injury, Jamar Chase is averaging, I think, 11 points per game in PPR, standard PPR with bonuses. Our league has like 20, 30, 40, or sorry, 20, 30, 40, and 50 point, or 50 yard reception and touchdown bonuses. So even with bonuses in our league,
12, 7,
PPR,
33, 20, 47. That's been Jamar Chase's fucking numbers for fantasy.
So that's what I'm saying. Without T. Higgins, he's only averaging like 11 points. T. Higgins has been back the last 3 weeks, and all of a sudden he goes fucking nuclear week after week after week. He is now, in our league, the wide receiver 1 over Nico Collins. Like, that's fucking insane production. But it took somebody else being there in that offense to open things up so that he could do it. I also think Joe Burrow started the season rusty, and again, we talked about this. The Bengals have historically, under Zach Taylor, started fucking terribly to the season. But, I mean, like, again, we talk, like, the Niners are the best 2 and 3 team in the NFL. Like, I think the Bengals are probably the best 1 and 4 team in the NFL. Like, it's
That's
insane.
wild.
They are 1 and 4 right now, you know? But yeah, so I agree with both of you guys in that I don't trust. I do think I'm not trusting Yoshi, but I'm not trusting T. Higgins either as my wide receiver 2. But unless
I would roll with T.
I would. The only reason I would say that I would roll with T. Higgins as your wide receiver 2 is if you're in a standard league, like a standard format or like a deeper league, you probably drafted him as your wide receiver 2. That's kind of where he was going. You know, usually your wide receiver 1's going to be a Tyreek, a CD, like your kind of league winner guy.
Yeah,
and then
I see you
Higgins
start Jamar Chase as a wide receiver 1, just based off of our league. He's averaging 24 points a game
with T. Higgins. That's what I'm saying. God damn it.
No, you said pre T. Higgins. T. Higgins hasn't been back since like what, week 3?
No, he's been he's been
He's
back
been
for the
since week 3.
yeah
Against
week 3 he
Commanders.
came back, right?
Yeah, that's the week.
And
That's the
when
week
still,
where
like, limited.
That's the week where Jamar bust out against the Commanders.
Yeah.
On Monday Night
20
Football.
for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but that's you're saying. I don't think you should make him like a solid set in stone wide receiver. Yeah, I think you should at that point. Because then you're making your point. You're making the point even more valid to keep him at a wide receiver 1 because you're saying as long as T. Higgins is in there, he's popping off.
I'm saying I don't trust him if T. Higgins isn't in there. That's what I'm saying.
I still think you
If
should.
Is not starting, then Jamar Chase is kind of hard to trust.
Yeah, he's hard to trust.
Goes down the line.
I would actually value him at like a wide receiver 2. At that point, like he literally was producing it like a Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton level before T. Higgins comes in. That's fucking wild. With T. Higgins in there, he is now the wide receiver 1. Like in our
I
format.
think that has
That's
a
what
part
I'm
to
saying.
play in it. I think a bigger part has to play like he was a little rusty because of the holdout. There's also
Which is
that
also part of the
factor.
Cincinnati thing
Because,
that
I
we
mean-
talked about, which is the first 2 games, usually Cincinnati scores for the past like what 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not completely. I'm not saying it isn't because of T. Higgins. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I think there's other outlying factors. In my opinion, he's a solid set in stone wide receiver 1.
Yeah. I mean, if you draft again,
I think T. Higgins plays, a role in his success, but I don't think the role in his success is that severe of a player to play. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna take it away from him. There's a reason why Jamar Chase is getting paid the money he gets paid. There's a reason why he was able to hold out and do so, and to get
I
that
will say
money.
The next game that was like really close, you could say like neck and neck for a majority of the time.
That was all of them.
Until it wasn't. Or not until it wasn't, but you could say it was 49ers and Cardinals, where 49ers got a good lead. Cardinals kind of brought it back a little bit.
That's been
Rudy,
2
you wanna
games
touch on
back
this
to
one a bit?
back. I don't know what to say. I think it has to do with the defensive coordinator. I honestly don't know because it isn't the offense. People are trying to say, oh, it's Shanahan. It's not fucking Shanahan. Shanahan doesn't run the defense. He has that much respect for his fucking coaches to let them get the job done that he hired them to get done. All right? That's their job. That's what the fuck they get paid all those hundreds of millions of dollars to fucking do. All right? And if I'm going to pay you that much money, you better fucking get the job done or I'm just going to fire you and get somebody else to get it done for me. I don't got time to worry about all that like that. You know what I mean? He has to worry about the offense, the defense, the special team. He has other things he has to worry about, but he also controls and runs the offense. You get what I'm saying? So his time and dedication goes into that. It's not like he has, he's got more important shit to worry about. All right, and he should be able to rely on his DC and even his assistant head coach, who's also supposedly a great DC as well himself, Brandon Staley. You know what I mean?
Staley's terrible. That was such a bad
That's
hire.
why I said, quote unquote, supposedly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, supposedly, like, that's the rumor that he's just this great DC and everything like that. That's why he got the head coach job to begin with the Chargers, kind of crap, whatever it was. But anyways, you have two guys who are supposed to be some solid defensive coordinating heads. They got some logical IQs there, supposedly. You should be able to get the job done, especially with that kind of a fucking roster. All right? Yeah. Even the people coming back from injuries, you're just like, that's fucking... They could start on so many other defenses anywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Jumping ahead here, but when it comes to how the temps are going to look a little bit later, specifically week 7, where they're saying Christian McCaffrey is more than likely going to be trying to come back week 7. And you already see Jordan Mason over here really producing. Like, his yards per carry is kind of insane. This past game was like 6.5 or 6.8 in terms of
That's not
going
to change.
Like, Jordan Mason is doing really good in terms of just running the ball, carrying the rock, right? So when
he's actually doing really well when it comes to receptions too. He's been doing a lot when it comes to the receptions. They said that he did take a lot of time and worked on it in the off season, but the little receptions that he has gotten, he has tried to turn something into them.
Well, the only thing I'll say is this:
I'm not using him too much in the receiving, but they might ramp up soon here.
I like what you said, Rudy. Like about I do think the defense just doesn't have the identity it did under Salah, under Ryan.
It doesn't.
Even under Wilkes last year. Like it was shaky.
Wilkes last year was winning us games. Wilkes, I'll give him that. Like, the defense looks strong under Wilkes compared to what it looks like now. We weren't giving up no fucking 20-point leads.
There were some shaky games, but it wasn't like this. It was shaky in that. But also, again, we always kind of circle back to this.
I wouldn't even say it was shaky games. It was games like this game that we just saw where it was tight until it wasn't, and that took Derek Carr getting injured. Or like the games that we were watching, like with Baltimore and Cincinnati, it was tight like that, meaning like both teams are putting in fucking work. It's just who's going to slip up first.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? Because
me
and Anthony were having a funny conversation about this, like I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about teams that their record does not reflect their performance because they're playing shit hot. They're playing great. They were just the team that fucking slipped up. That was it. Literally. Yeah. Because if it was the other way around, it was just like what happened to us. They could have fucking won it easily.
So, again,
you know what I'm saying?
Like what I wanted to circle back to is like complementary football. We talk about this every week. We just talked about it with the Vikings. There were moments in that game where, and this is actually why I said no to what Anthony was saying about Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is running the ball efficiently and very well. Jordan Mason is not Christian McCaffrey. Ooh, hot take.
No, I never
was
going to say that.
Listen, but hold on. This is what I'm saying. There were plays, and there have been plays in the prior weeks where during breakaways, if it was Christian McCaffrey and not Jordan Mason, it's a touchdown. It's not a great gain. It's not a big gain. It's a touchdown. Flat out, it's a score. It's 6 points on the board. And I'm thinking, I feel like right now, more so than the defense, because that's what you're saying. Like, you were like, oh, like they were shaky, but you could win games. In the past, I think the offense was able to play complementary football. And there's a big difference between the offense is only putting up 24, 27, 17, and 35, 38, 31, scoring in the 30s. The offensive, those big chunk plays that we're getting right now from the 49ers offense that were touchdowns in the past with Christian McCaffrey running the ball or receiving. Like we just mentioned it. It's like, oh, like Jordan Mason's receptions might come up. It's like Christian McCaffrey is a legitimately dual threat in terms of whether he can run the ball or catch the ball. You could throw him in a wheel route. You could motion him into the slot and play him as a fucking receiver or triple threat. Yeah, because he can throw. Okay, so but you see what I'm saying. But like that's exactly my point. Like, that offense is entirely different with Christian McCaffrey. I really believe right now, as well as the 49ers offense is doing, the biggest problem for the 49ers is the offense. Because they're not as explosive as they're used to. That's my opinion. I could be completely fucking wrong, but that's just kind of my opinion. I think those one or two plays, because like you're saying, you guys are the team that slips up. But it's just like one play, two play. Brock Purdy had 2 picks. If a fucking 40-yard gain turns into a 60-yard touchdown from Christian McCaffrey, or a 20-yard rush turns into a 60-yard touchdown from Christian McCaffrey, as opposed to Jordan Mason just getting a chunk play, that's huge. Because not only is it 6 points on the board, it's also demoralizing to a defense to be like, we fucking got to stop. They get out there and they just, or like, you know, our offense can't get stopped. They get the ball back. One play, they fucking get 6 points on the board. It's like, fuck. So, like, that, it changes the dynamic of the football games. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I agree with you on the CMC where, like, there are some plays where it would have been a touchdown for sure. As far as, like, the offense being our biggest problem, I don't think that's it. It's just our defense. It's bro.
If the defense is tighter, you guys win the games.
And then this is the other thing too. All right, and this does play a big fucking role because let's be realistic. We were in quite a few of these positions. We just didn't have that option. We lost Jake Moody right before the half.
That changes this game.
And there were and we were in a lot of field goal situations where we could have put at least an extra 6 to 9 points on the fucking board, and that right there changes the whole dynamic of the game as well too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it allows our defense to be more aggressive. It allows or even play a little bit more conservative on the defense and prepare for them to be aggressive. You know what I'm saying? It allows the whole change of the dynamic. At this point, we just had to be aggressive on offense completely, where we had to go for it on fourth and stuff. Like, if we were in the area, or we just had to punt it away. There really was no median ground. It was black or white.
Yeah.
You know, the median ground is the gray. The gray area is the field goal kicker. That's your 3 points. You're settling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's any team. You know what? I could go for it on 4th and 3, but if they fucking stop us, and they've been doing it on 3rd downs pretty nicely, I'm just gonna take the 3. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of opportunities where we could have had that, and it would have put up a solid, 6 to 9 more extra points. To be honest with you, no less than 6. I know I counted 2 for sure times when we were in field goal range, and there is a lot more times we were in field goal range outside of that. I feel like it could have been a lot more than just the 9 points. Honestly, it could have even Moody could have had another 20-something field goal point game, fantasy wise. To be honest with you, he put up 8 before he got injured. He was on a nice little roll. So there's that aspect as well too. So I don't want to put too much of the faulty on the offense, because I feel like the offense just had to play aggressively due to the fact that they were missing that big key factor of being able to put points on the board a different way. With that being said too, when you have to play like that and you got to be aggressive like that, sometimes you start to see, like we've seen in the past with any team, your defense is on the field a lot more. Your defense is getting burnt out because they're having to make up for you having to go for it on 4th fucking down in the middle of the field because you still want to be aggressive. You know what I mean? You don't want to just keep giving up the ball every time. I think I think it came down to the coaching when it came to the point when we lost Moody. I don't think the strategy was as sound as they thought it would be. I think they should have just taken some delays of games and backed it up a little bit and just punted it off and made them earn the field. You know what I mean? Just gave their defense a lot better of a chance. If you're going to have to rely on the defense
rather
more
from
now,
the 20 than the 50. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, make them earn those extra 25 to 30 yards. You know what I mean? And Wishnowski's not a bad fucking punter.
No.
But,
No,
I think
that's valid.
Yeah, so, I am pissed about this loss because it's like, how the fuck did we blow that lead? But to be fair, to consistently maintain that lead and really be kind of put more pressure, we didn't have the ability to put field goals on the board and keep stacking up. Because those 3 points, as we saw from the Chiefs game, pay off. They pay their dividends. Like, they only had 1 fucking touchdown outside of when they finally scored in the second half. You know what I mean? Other than that, it was what's his name? Who's Kansas City's kicker again?
But
But yeah,
Harrison Butker.
Butker. There you go, Butker. Yeah, Buckner or whatever it is. But yeah, you saw he only missed one, but he had like what? It was 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5
yeah,
that he missed.
like 4 times.
Yeah, so he was doing great. Yeah, he was like 4 for 5 or 5 for 6 or something like that this whole game. But you see, like those attempts were points that he was able to put on the board when the offense couldn't pull through in the red zone or they couldn't get past that 30 mark. You know what I mean? He was still able to assist the team, and that pays his dividends. Like I said, it put 6 points on the board for the Chiefs that really gave them that pressure to hey, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna go for it on 4th and 2. We got
No,
you know what I mean? Butker put up 9 for us and kind of gave us a little bit of a lead.
The other games are pretty close, where definitely the Packers and Rams game, and then the New York Giants and Seahawks. The one that's most interesting to me out of these 2 close games, actually they're both really interesting. Different stuff happened in them, but the number one waiver wire pickup that occurred in fantasy football that people were talking about, raving about, you could say, was Dontavian Wicks and Tucker Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
So that was for the Packers. And you see here, Dontavian Wicks, nobody. I think he caught 1 for 5 or something like that. Very low stat line. Didn't pay off. If you picked him up, I'm sorry. It just didn't work out, right? But Tucker Kraft had himself a game.
He really did.
Was a very big, volume play in terms of, they were targeting specifically. He had a breakout game in terms of just what he could do on the field when Romeo Doubs isn't there, Christian Watson isn't there, and then, of course, he beat out Luke Musgrave for the position.
He went 4 for 5 for 88 yards with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, he did great. So in terms of that game, I think that was the most notable thing is just seeing the emergence of their tight end. And their tight end overtaking the one tight end that came into the season thinking that was going to be the guy, which was Luke Musgrave. So yeah, Tucker Kraft had himself a game. On the Rams side of things, we're still not seeing them at their super, full output because we have Puka Nacua out, Cooper Kupp out. So I don't really put too much stock into their games right now. It's really hard to talk about because they are playing with the number 1 wide receiver 1 as Jordan Pennington. That's kind of hard to do. I think, he's still a rookie if I'm not mistaken. So him trying to be the lead focus for their team, that's hard, right? And he's trying to do like a Puka Nacua, what he did last year. But there's only one Puka Nacua that we're finding out in the Rams offense, right?
Definitely.
But on the other side of things, for the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks, now that was a good game. In terms of we didn't expect that to necessarily happen. The New York Giants to be producing how they did without Malik Neighbors. He was out.
Bro, but Daniel Jones surprisingly was on fucking fire. He was dropping dots, bro.
He was.
When the game came down to the wire, he did his job. He stepped up and he did what he fucking needed to do.
And
you know what I mean?
They made some key stops. They basically strapped up Metcalf, right? He didn't pop off in terms of how we've been seeing him.
He went
off in previous games.
23 for 34 with 2 touchdowns, and he had 11 rushes for 38 yards.
Yeah.
His only downside was he had a fumble and he had 3 sacks.
Yeah. If he continues his production, right, we can honestly say that he might be in a QB2 scenario if you are, playing super flex. If not, he already is, because he can get you those good boosts. And assuming the New York Giants start getting it more together, and beating these tougher teams and knowing how to play as a team, especially when Malik Neighbors is out.
What also helped is a lot of his
pretty valuable.
Yeah, and I think what also helped is a lot of receivers stop dropping the ball.
Yeah.
No, because if you look, the hell is this guy sending us?
I don't know.
This motherfucker.
Oh, Jesus. Just memes. But yeah, I would say that
memes is yeah. You didn't see the picture above it, that's why.
I know. It came down to the wire just because of the field goal, right? They blocked the field goal, they returned it back for a touchdown. That's all.
Yeah, dude, when that happened, I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah. So it was a close game, and we actually got to see the New York Giants without Malik Neighbors, and they proved that they can.
And not just that, but they shut down Geno Smith for a solid length of the game, bro.
Yeah. Hey, the New York Giants offensive line has been rated decent.
Yeah.
pretty decent O-line. And we're seeing that their rushing production is there. They're able to play without Kevin Singletary, without Malik Neighbors. And we're seeing on the defensive side of things, they can clamp up, Metcalf, right?
Yeah. But I feel like with Metcalf, I feel like a lot more people are. Oh, my bad. No, but I was saying, I feel like with Metcalf, I feel like a lot more people are able to start locking him up more than what we're used to seeing. I think what it is we're getting a newer generation of players, and they're watching these guys already, and they're like, all right, so if I want to be there, I need to jam that motherfucker up. So that's what they start working on. You know what I mean?
I think it's kind of weird how they're being inconsistent, though. Like, you see DK Metcalf get locked up, but then at the same time, Jackson Smith and Jigba also gets locked up. So it's those are two main wide receivers, not really doing too much in terms of receiving work. The highest targets went to Kenneth Walker, right? Just check down for the most part. And
what about
what
is it, Tyler Lockett
for the Seattle Seahawks?
Does somebody have Tyler Lockett?
Right now. You look very, very like lost in the sauce.
Huh?
Your face is like you're still thinking about what you texted us earlier, and not necessarily what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He's still recovering. You saw him recovering.
No,
But yeah, we're just talking about the Seattle Seahawks, New York Giants. How that was a close game. The other game that we talked about was the Packers and LA Rams. How that one also was a close game. But at the same time, we got to see the emergence of Tucker Kraft and really the drop off of the number one waiver wire target, which was Dontavian.
Dontavian Wick's a fucking bum, and I could have told you not to pick him up.
He's out, right?
Dontavian Wick, yeah.
Dropping him probably like a hot potato right now. But yeah, those are the main close games you could say for this week. There was definitely some blowouts. Like I will for sure say that the other one we didn't cover was Jacksonville and Colts, but we kind of covered it.
Pick up and start Christian Watson this week.
Hell yeah. No, but the blowouts that we had this week were definitely Raiders and Broncos. Shitty. Sell all Raiders right now. Broncos defense is really good. Also, like they're really good. Patrick Surtain.
But I didn't feel too bad. At least
is-
you guys couldn't talk shit.
He is very good cornerback or safety. I don't know what position he necessarily plays, but he's great, right? And we're seeing him.
What,
just make
Surtain?
plays
He's a
like
corner.
Corner.
Yeah.
So,
Patrick
this is
Surtain?
really
Patrick
good.
Surtain's the man, bro.
Yeah.
He's ranked. He's been ranked one of the top DBs in the league for like the past 2-3 years running. Yeah, he is too. Rightfully so.
Jaden Daniels popping off and continuing to show that he is probably the rookie of the year at this point. He's doing great. And
Who, Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, consistency-wise, he's.
Oh
there.
damn, we moved on from the Broncos already.
Yeah, I mean these are. The
I thought we
Broncos,
wanted to
right?
talk more about that.
I mean, we can. There's nothing really much to talk about. Nothing
No, there's
good
so
about
much
it.
to talk about. There's so much to talk
Kinda.
about.
But yeah.
The Broncos did their thing. Bo Nix did his thing. Bo Nix is honestly looking like he might keep that job.
I mean,
He's fitting in nicely. He is what Caleb Williams was supposed to be. What everybody said would happen. He's the guy who's actually progressively starting to fit into his system and show every week that he can progressively get it done. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Caleb Williams isn't, but at the rate, I would say that Bo Nix is getting it done better. He's
Bo Nix is 2 years older.
I wouldn't necessarily say Bo Nix is like completely, taking over or doing way better than Caleb.
I didn't say he's doing way better, but I say he's doing better. He's definitely doing better. All right. He just beat the fucking Raiders. Who did the Bears beat up on the recovering Panthers? You know what I mean?
What team do you think is stronger, Panthers or Raiders right now?
The Raiders have to be stronger than the Panthers.
The Panthers just beat the fuck out of the Raiders.
I know they beat the fuck out of the Raiders, but I feel like that was a little bit. I feel like that was a little bit more offense oriented than it was anything else. I feel like your guys' defense was on the field too long, just like this game. It's your offense that hasn't figured it out, in my opinion.
If I'm not mistaken, Panthers are doing better.
Yeah, because no offense, if your guys' offense has. Okay, let me phrase that. If your guys' offense had Devontae Adams and he wasn't throwing the bitch fits he's throwing right now, you guys are.
Unfortunate.
You know what I mean? You guys are putting up a decent fight offensively to where your defense isn't being fucking ran to the dirt like every other fucking series Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's just what I'm saying. Because like defensively, you guys are better. Really, you are. So that, in my opinion, that makes you the better team. Because if your offense can get it together, defensively, you've already proven that you guys can make some stops and give your offense more times to try to get to score.
You guys just got to be the
Um,
Raiders.
It's
I mean
funny,
the
I am
Steelers.
kind of, I am out of the Raiders defense. I am a Raider fan. I am out of their defense. I was high on them probably up to week 3.
Well, right now
But
you
to
have to
me,
be
they
because
were,
it's like I said, their offense isn't producing enough for the defense to be effective. Like I said, if the defense is out there for more than 85% of the fucking time, the snaps, then and the
not
timeshare,
even that. You
it's
see that Max Crosby is the only person that can get it done on defense, and that's really it.
They can't generate
Like,
pressure.
yeah, we have Robert Spillane, who's a good tackler and can close out some plays.
It's just
but,
a crash out.
That's it, man. Like, that's really it. Like, our defense, we were hyped coming into the season for whatever defense we were, right? They were saying this was an underrated defense going into the season. But we're just seeing that's not the case. We're just not a good defense. Without Malcolm Kuntz on the interior side, Christian Wilkins went out, I think, the second quarter of the game, which is our other guy to, bring over from Miami. It's just not good. If Max Crosby's the only guy that can do anything and the rest of the defense just falls over, that's it. Like, I am out of the Raiders defense completely if we are out of Christian Wilkins, for sure.
So
we can't do stopping.
if we want to talk about just like stats,
yeah, but that's what I was saying. I think the Raiders were
Caleb.
Wait, are you talking? Hold on. Okay, so I got confused. You thought I was talking about they're better. No, I meant they're a better team than the fucking Broncos, bro. Like, I thought they were. That's what I was trying to say. I thought they were a better team than the Broncos at the time. Because honest to God, I picked the Raiders to take the fucking Broncos this weekend.
I mean, I did too, but I'm a fan as well.
Well, I mean, obvious fucking Lee. I would hope to God you wouldn't bet against your own team, no matter what the circumstances were. I don't give a shit. The Niners could be going against the Chiefs tomorrow, and I'm taking the Niners. You know what I'm saying? They could be going against the Vikings again. I'm still taking the fucking Niners. It doesn't matter who they're going against. That's my team. So I would expect that from you. But me being a Niner fan, I honestly took the Raiders over the Broncos, thinking that you guys were gonna pull it off. To be real with you, I didn't think the Broncos had it that together that they would fucking mollywop the shit out of you like that.
Where it all came crashing down was, I think it was our third try. We were close to the end zone. We tried to throw for a pass, got intercepted, and Patrick Surtain ran it back for a 100-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was it. Like, after that, we collapsed.
That was the game. That was the game right there.
We ended up subbing out our quarterback, which was Gardner Minshew. We subbed him out for Aiden O'Connell. I think
AOC.
by third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Third quarter, we...
Damn, it got that bad? You guys just started fucking around with whatever?
No, check this out. Because Gardner Minshew...
Because I didn't watch the game, but that's what I'm saying. Like, coming into this, I thought we were talking about the Broncos to the Raiders. That's what I was saying. Like, the Panthers-wise, I still think defensively you guys are a better team than the Panthers. No offense. That's me just
Yeah,
saying.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, even with the Panthers game, we didn't expect that to happen. But to be real with you, in the Panthers game, again, your offense wasn't doing shit. And your defense was out there the whole fucking game, just getting fucking wrecked. You know what I mean? And
most people on fantasy, like that play fantasy football, they're gonna be dropping or trying to trade away any Raiders right now. Like, maybe just Jacoby Myers, Alexander Madison. That's it. If you're holding anybody, it's probably those two. And you're probably dropping them with trading away because it's not gonna be good. This season, it's not gonna be good. And that's why I kind of quickly went over them because there's nothing really.
Are you guys becoming the? Are you guys fighting with the Broncos right now? I mean the Browns.
No, you know who we're fighting with? New England. As like in terms of like this production, bro. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. So, yeah, we're not
That's hell. That's hell.
We are fighting with the
There's hope, but not very much. There's hope, but not very.
You guys are fighting with Tua's last brain cell.
Right. With Miami? Hey, didn't New England rock Miami? No, they barely won, huh?
We are losing our number one offensive asset. So after that, it's
That's a wraps after that.
Oh no, Miami actually won. That surprised me.
That's it. So, but the other game, yeah, the Commanders Brown blowout.
Hey, based off of my brother's method, any defense against the Browns right now. I literally did that in one of my leagues. I picked up the Washington Commanders defense and played them in one of my leagues because I just didn't like the matchups for the other two defenses I had. So I just kind of looked in the open, I looked in the waiver wire, and I was just looking like, okay, let's see who's playing. I saw Washington against the Browns, and I'm like, Washington's not doing bad this season. Let's see how that way. They fucking racked up like 20 points for me or something like that. And they did pretty damn good. I was like, hey. As a matter of fact, right there, 17.50 points. They only allowed 13. They only allowed 13 points. They only allowed 212 yards. They had 7 sacks. 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 4-down stop. Yeah, no, they had 7 sacks. That's fucking insane. They fucking killed it. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that is fucking insane. Like we were making fun of Justin Fields and Caleb Williams, but Jesus Christ, 7 fucking sacks. It's like, my guy. I think they were just hoping you'd throw the fucking ball away at this point. Like, just throw it away. Just throw it away. What do you know?
But the other close game really was close game was definitely Cowboys Steelers, but we don't want to talk about that on Steelers games. The rough to get through.
The only thing I will say about that game, anybody who is a Cowboys fan, anybody who is a Cowboys detractor, whichever side of the fence you stand on, and you're looking at that team and you're going, oh, guys, CD is a diva. CD, go watch the fucking pass to Jake Ferguson and go tell me that CD is a fucking diva. Shut the fuck up. This guy blocked 2 defenders by himself to open. If Jake is faster than a fucking 5'2" 40, like, that's a touchdown by all means. CD put himself out there, wasn't bitching, and even if there's kind of 2 camps.
Did anybody
right
ever
now.
Figure out what he said to him?
That's what I say. There's 2 camps right now in what he said. One is like bad throw or bad ball or something like that, and the other one is like jump ball for jump ball. I got you. Because when he threw it, it was just a dart right to the defender. That was, I think it's a toss up between that and Derek Carr's interception tonight for just like the most. I think Jalen, the spirit of Jalen, like, fucking found its way into the primetime games. And
I don't know. Dak Prescott's been known to throw his own fair share of fucking
it just
interceptions and clutch moments.
Fucking Space Jam style. They robbed Jalen of his powers. It went into Dak.
To be
and then he
fair
threw
with Derek Carr's interception, that was... I mean, he was just trying to throw the fucking ball away. And I think he got hit right before he did.
No,
or something happened. He was just trying... Like, he threw off the back foot, just trying to get rid of it.
So
he didn't get it. He didn't get it far enough. No, he didn't get it far. But you got to remember, he was in the tackle box, so I think he had to make sure it crossed the line and the receiver was in the area. So I think he was just trying to throw it off. He threw it off his back foot. So it was a combination of like
terrible,
good initiative, bad judgment. He just didn't get it far enough. That's all it was.
Regardless,
like if you rewatch, yeah. No, Dak Prescott is legit. Like
that one, literally threw it straight to the defender. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm just saying, I'm joking about the Derek Carr thing, but
and not just
Dak
that, but
Prescott,
that was at the same time that was a pretty impressive interception because that motherfucker really just kind of like it just took his chance and one-handed that motherfucker. So
no, he threw it straight into him.
No. I'm talking about the Derek Carr
you're talking
one.
about the Derek Carr one.
Yeah. I was like, that was a pretty impressive interception.
Yeah.
That was like one-handed in the air, spinning down. Like, it was
the Dak Prescott, that throw was so fucking terrible. Yeah. Like, even, like, because, so, full disclosure, Eagles fan,
full
Niners
disclosure
fan,
is between
insane.
Minshew and Prescott as to who was the most dot on to their DB.
No, full disclosure, I'm, like, Eagles fan, Niners fan. Our dad is a Cowboys fan. So, watching the game with him, I'm kind of laughing internally, but, like, I'm watching the fucking pass, and I'm just, he's like, is that a comeback route? I'm like, not at the 1 yard line. Keep going down the end zone. If he throws it over the shoulder, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, so the 2
I'm not running no comebacks at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, no, I'm not going
know why
in
you're
the
running. I don't even know why we're running pass plays at the 1 yard line.
No. What I'm saying is, like, if it's a comeback round, like, the DB caught it at the 1 yard line, at the goal line. It's like, you don't run into the end zone and run a comeback outside of the end zone. Like, what the fuck? Especially when there's no safety in the area. It's 1-on-1 and you got the DBB. Like,
there was a lot of craziness. But another close game. Oh my bad.
I was just saying no. So the two camps, it's that he either went. It was like I think he said like bad throw. Like some people were saying it was like bad throw, but the other camp is like no. He was saying jump ball, like jump ball for like I got you, jump ball. Like telling him like next time throw me a 50-50, don't throw 100-0. So, but no.
Yeah, but no. Another close game was, believe it or not, the Rams and the Packers game. I know we were talking about that. It was a close game. I think it was all the way up until. I'm not sure if it was a fumble or an interception that ended the game. I think it was an interception from Matthew Stafford.
Sounds about
But
right.
that game is kind of hard to put stock in. That's what we had mentioned before, that the LA Rams are playing without Cooper Kupp, and I guess
They did that without. They did it without them, and they came back on the Niners and won. So.
No, true, but
And to be real, the Green Bay Packers are. I wouldn't say they're a better team than the Niners, but they're definitely up to par with the Niners.
No,
so
but
I think
just like the Niners game, same scenario. The fucking Packers are missing Romeo Doubs. They're missing Christian Watson. They're
they're missing their
it's the
fair
same
share of
thing,
players
yeah.
as well too.
It's
So
insane.
I think it was a pretty fair game, and I think Matthew Stafford did his thing too. But I mean, it was a close game, regardless of the fact. It was still a really good, really well played game. Like I said, this whole week was just full of like exciting football. It was really good either way it went. I mean, thank God I didn't break anything this fucking game. I was very tempted to.
I will say, in the Dallas Steelers, though, bringing that back a little bit, we are seeing the emergence of RB1 for Dallas.
Yeah.
Waddle, is actually producing as, probably
all the way up until his fumble.
Up until his fumble. But
I just played.
Being the focal point of the rushing, they are trying to establish a rushing game.
Well, good. They need to walk away. I mean, it's time that they get it through Ezekiel Elliott's head. That
And as the season
your time
goes
is
on,
up.
I think it's going to become more and more so that he is that RB1 full stop. There's not going to be so much. Who's the other guy they put in, Luke as like the other guy that ran.
Oh, no. Lupke is just he's a fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's a fullback, but as far as I'm wanting to run the ball with a true running back, they use him because it's all they're doing off.
Yeah, so I think Dowdle is going to be pretty interesting to kind of watch and see how he continues to develop in the offense, because they need to establish the run game. And I believe, halfway through the season they should have a run game pretty soon here, in terms of like how they want to really play the game. And they're not doing too bad. The Dallas 3-2, they're sitting at an okay spot without really an established run game like we've been talking about. So they're an interesting team to see that they're still developing. They're not just settling for just pass, throwing Ezekiel for some short yardage game, which they still do. But yeah, they're now turning to Rico Dowdle.
Well, I think that's another reason why you see
20 yards out. So it's like he is getting that receiver work. He's also getting that short yardage work and then the first couple down work. So it's like they were trying to use it. Now that fumble that might take away from his next game. Probably. That was pretty bad. Yeah. But that's their guy as of right now. I think over time we'll see it develop more and more. And he was really the guy that people had questions about going into the season. Is that going to be the RB1?
But I wouldn't hold your breath on that either because we all thought the same thing about Pollard over fucking Elliott.
True, but this is a pretty big discrepancy now. Where Pollard and Elliott were pretty much 50-50. Elliott now is around.
Yeah, but then they traded away Elliott. They kept Pollard, which everybody thought they should. Brought on Dowdle, and then they turned around and got rid of fucking. What do you call it, Pollard, and then picked up Ezekiel Elliott. It was like, why are we going backwards?
It's different though. That's what I'm saying, because that was a 50-50 split for the most part. Where now we're seeing a much larger share for Dowdle, and Elliott is held to 20% snap share or lower per game.
I think the Cowboys would have been more productive if they would have kept Pollard. I think if they would have kept Pollard with Dowdle in the back, I think it would have been. I would think it would have paid its dividends. Yeah, he is still doing pretty good in Tennessee. They had a bye week this week, so he had time to rest and recover. He might have a good week coming into this week.
I definitely think that's a different scenario. I mean, because we're talking about 2 years ago, whereas we had already seen Ezekiel declining for as far as
quite some time.
Like 5 years ago. So like for 3 years, we're seeing him decline year over year, and then you're starting to see Tony Pollard come up and start like actually producing, and eventually you get to like this 50-50 where it's not so much that they're like not wanting to focus and feature Pollard, but it's that they're holding on to that nostalgia of like Zeke is only like 2 years removed from being 1,000-yard rusher, for 3 straight years. So it's like that's kind of their mentality is like, wait, maybe that's still there. It's just not. We're not calling it. We're not doing. Whereas now, like, he went to New England. He wasn't the featured back, truly. Then he comes into here, and it's like, we're just gonna like. He's supposed to be the featured back, but obviously, like, we're realizing we're never gonna see 2017, 2019 Zeke ever again. We're never gonna see those years, huh?
Yeah, and they're realizing it too. They went
Yeah.
40% snap. 20, literally.
Yeah, and so this game, I will say, the reason they won this game was the fact that they were able to establish the run by featuring Rico Dowdle. Watching this game, that's the number one thing that I figured out, like, or that I was able, like, that I noticed, like, immediately noticed was like, if they don't establish the run, especially with Brandon Cooks out for this game, and with the defense having so many people missing, you're missing your 2 biggest pieces, DeMarcus Lawrence and Michael Parsons. Like, that's it. That's the team, basically, as far as defensively goes. So, and they still held up. I mean, it's the Steelers. But, you know, you see Rico Dowdle getting involved, and like you said, becoming the feature back, becoming the premier back. And as you establish the run game, like, you know, I was explaining it to Dad. I'm like, eventually what's going to happen is the linebackers, they got to play up. You can't fucking play so far back because they're just going to keep gashing you 4 yard, 5 yard, 4 yard, 5 yard. Like, just keep chunking you.
You're going to give me a first down every other play, why not?
Yep, exactly. Now you got to play true? Okay, now we can pass. As opposed to, like, the last few weeks, like, especially against the Ravens, you know, we see, oh, okay, we're just going to give it to CD because that's the only guy we have. We're not even going to trust Turpin. We're not going to trust Brandon Cooks. This game, Kevontae Turpin, really, like, they did pass to him. He actually scored the winning touchdown. Like, that's huge.
While injured.
Well injured, yeah. The only thing that I will look at and kind of go, ooh, is right now, I think the stat is he has 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half of games this season. And in the second half, it's like 3 receptions for like 17 yards and no touchdowns over the second half of games this season. CeeDee Lamb. So either the offense is just stagnating or the other teams are adjusting. Regardless, something has to change because if not, like, that's not sustainable, especially if you don't truly trust Turpin and Brandon Cooks. You know,
yeah,
so.
Or it could be that the opposite coin is correct, that CeeDee Lamb was telling Dak during the game, subpar throw for bad play. Like,
that's what it was. Subpar throw.
Like
That's what he said. Yeah, that was
maybe they just don't like each other. You know, it's hard to win games if you don't like each other.
That 88 jersey talks to those boys like the fucking Green Goblin mask is just like, yeah. Like,
we're seeing a lot of these reporters say like, hey, something might be brewing, right? A lot of people are commenting like, hey, I don't know if they have a good relation right now because we see CD acting up on the sidelines. We saw in the Baltimore game.
Because he's tired of getting weak-ass throws and losing fucking games.
But we see it in this game, too, where people are analyzing his lips. Like, they're trying to see what he's saying. So it could just be the fact that they are not in good relations right now, and he doesn't want to throw to in the second half because of whatever is transpiring. Now, that's a far-fetched idea. Obviously, he wants to throw to his wide receiver 1. But, I don't know, it's interesting to entertain, you know, because that's what a lot of commentators that we're hearing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, trash ass throw, motherfucker.
Similarly, we're also
go home and die. Oh.
Like Pickens. George Pickens for the Steelers is acting out in a similar way. You're seeing him be half-assed in a lot of his routes.
Yeah.
You saw it during the game with Dallas, where they did a play-by-play, and they show Pickens give up halfway through in a lot of his routes.
Yeah.
And he is posting. I'm talking like light jog at best. And then we see him being a sore loser, you know, tossing the dude down the floor at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
He's frustrated, man. And
Pittsburgh
like
needs a new wide receiver. Pickens too weak. That's what what the DB said leaving the stadium. Fuck.
Yeah. So it's an interesting game because we kind of see like those wide receiver discrepancies in terms of like, you know, what they expect their production to be versus reality. I'm sure CD wants to be getting a touchdown every game, going for 100 yards.
He should be getting a touchdown every game.
And he should be, but if he's acting like that way and not a humble way, could be rubbing people wrong. I don't know. We're not.
I think he's past the point of humility. You know what I mean? I think he's past that point. You gotta understand too. this Dak Prescott thing is not just this year Dak Prescott thing. This is like a yearly thing with him. You know what I'm saying? Like this is,
pop off. That's like historically what they've been doing the past 2 seasons.
you get what I'm saying? But even still, but it gets frustrating to somebody like CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb is a star receiver. He's not just thinking. CeeDee Lamb is a Hall of Famer. This is a man who knows that that's where he needs to be. He knows that that's where he's destined to be. He feels that way strongly about himself. There's people that come into this league and they know I'm good enough to be here and I'm good enough to make money. And there's people that come into this league and they know, like, I'm going to be somebody people will remember for the rest of their fucking lives. Their fucking kids will know about me. You know what I mean? And he's one of those guys.
Like Henry
so when
Ruggs.
you have
Like Henry Ruggs.
Yeah. So, you know, he, like I said, you know, he in his head, he's sitting there seeing a lot of those stats that could be contributing to that legendary status he wants going away with this quarterback. So he's getting frustrated. He's getting pissed off. Like, dude, step your fucking game up. All right? And it's very hard to play for somebody that just doesn't get it done. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, you know what it feels like to go 110% every fucking play and then you turn around and the motherfucker's on the ground?
Yeah, I played.
Or he throws it to somebody that's in triple coverage and you're just sitting there and you're
he's
like...
a Raiders fan, you forget, so...
Oh, yeah. My bad, I'm sorry.
Even outside of, like, normal football, I played League of Legends. He always held me back, though, so... It's similar,
Dude,
bro.
I can show you gameplay. This guy is a fucking monkey. Anyways. But, yeah, no.
Yeah, I think the other game, though, the last one that we probably going to comment on, it's just the Saints in Kansas City. And I do got to say, for the New Orleans Saints, they went against 3 tough, which is Philadelphia, Atlanta Falcons, and Kansas City, right? I am hesitant to call them frauds because I think they do have a decent team. They just have dealt with some pretty tough teams that are on the rise, right? Or not necessarily on the rise, but just doing good.
They finally
Where
played clean and they lost.
Yeah. Now, mind you,
They played clean.
New Orleans beat up on withering Dallas Cowboys 44-19. They beat up on Carolina Panthers 47-10. So
When it was Bryce Young. When it was Bryce
now
Young.
looking back, maybe they are frauds because they only beat up on weaker teams, right? They're not beating those tougher matchups.
The good news is when they play the Browns.
True. Everyone gets a leg up, even the Raiders. You got to win off the Browns. We'll take it.
I don't know, man.
But it is an interesting game, and at the same time, we just see that Derek Carr is still kind of Derek Carr, just in a different jersey. You know, when it comes to Kansas City, it's hard to win against them. I think he's 3-16 now in terms of winning against Kansas City.
Something like that.
He has a very low win percentage against them. So, yeah, people bet on New Orleans to, you know, Derek Carr to pop off, whether it's yardage-wise or anything. Obviously, he didn't hit because he went out early.
Yeah,
but
speaking of that,
it's tough
how
to
bad am I
bet
whooping
on
y'all
them.
asses?
But, yeah, I think it's interesting. Kansas City, we're seeing them get it done against a decent defense without Rasheed Rice, without Isaiah Pacheco, Hollywood Brown. They're relying on Kareem Hunt, who came off the couch like 2 weeks ago. And Kareem Hunt is doing really good. I say off the couch, but really they probably got him out of the gym because bro was looking solid.
Yeah, no, triple digit performance tonight.
Yeah, no, and
he did really good. They were actually talking about that in the offseason he continued to train. He didn't stop doing what he continued to stay in
they
shape.
picked up a good running back to fill in that place of Isaiah Pacheco because they want to run the ball. They were running at the highest rate they have all previous years.
That's smart.
And they're continuing to do so with Kareem Hunt. So, yeah, they want to run the ball, establish the run, and we saw it. The New Orleans Saints could not stop the run. And because of that, they couldn't really get back into the game because they were eating up so much time, and Kansas City was profiting off that every time. They would get the field goal or get a touchdown, or they would take up so much time and make those plays really count for them to where New Orleans can't do anything back.
Yeah, I haven't seen Andy Reid utilize a running back in an offense like that since 2014 with LaShawn McCoy. Like, that's fucking insane.
The running rate is really high right now.
Yeah.
You know? So,
which is hilarious considering their first string guy, like their guy, is out, and they're running at his.
Who?
Like,
so running back shouldn't be paid
Isaiah Pacheco.
Right? Yeah.
No, that's why running backs are.
But I mean, Kareem Hunt has never been Kareem Hunt has never also he's also never been a bad running back either. So
No,
yeah, I mean, like he's always been a pretty solid running back.
he's one and zero
I
in
actually,
MMA.
hey, you wanna know what's funny? As I actually picked him up as well for Jasmine on her roster when I saw him available, and Jasmine was just like, "Who's this guy? Why?" And I was all just watch, and he did pretty good for her today. I think he got like 16, 17 points.
Yeah.
Something around there.
Yeah.
Even more.
Yeah,
He
he
had
didn't
he had
have
a
a bad
touchdown.
game though. He had over 100 yards rushing, I think it was for sure.
Yeah. That New
Yeah.
Orleans Saints couldn't stop the run at all.
Nope.
No,
That
they
was
couldn't.
The downfall of the game.
Yeah.
Every time, 5 yards, 6 yards, 10 yards.
No, yeah,
It
he was doing his thing right there.
Yeah.
I wish Patrick Mahomes would hit Xavier Worthy a little bit more, not just because he's from the Central Valley or any of that crap, but just because I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities there.
They settled for the field goal at the half, and it should have been a touchdown. They should have been
Yeah.
up. They should have been up big. There was a play there. I was telling you guys in the chat. Xavier Worthy's running a crossing route, and you got Travis Kelce lined up on the side, like lined up covering the tackle. He runs like a fade route. The safeties obviously they're pulling to the other hash because they're trying to cover. Like Travis Kelce just demands that much attention. You got this crossing route developing. The linebackers are pulling down because you've got Juju on that drag route. Patrick hits Juju on the drag route with the linebackers down there. They get tackle him over the middle of the field for like a 5-yard gain. If he just holds that ball for half a second longer, Xavier Worthy's wide open. He literally throws the ball as Xavier Worthy is passing the linebackers with nobody behind, with nobody. It's open field. It's insane. I would like to think that Patrick Mahomes is. I mean, obviously he's good enough to win the fucking game, but it's like they're 5-0, but it's like
crazy to think that with their current team.
But they haven't been having any high-scoring games either.
no defense has been
Isn't that
great
crazy,
though.
It's likely that they're able to make the repeat with their current roster.
This
After
guy,
losing their main running back.
this guy doesn't learn. This guy doesn't learn, dude. He just talked it out of existence the same way he did the parlay,
Good.
bro.
I'm a Raider fan. I'm cool with that. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's still a possibility. They are of that repeat contention.
No, I think part of it too is that the playing field is a lot more level this year. There's just no there's no great teams. There's no there's a couple of really good teams, but they're all human. Like we saw the Vikings play the Jets today. They looked human by all means, So it's like there's no and last week against the Packers, like if Jordan Love doesn't go full Brett Favre mode and like throw 3 interceptions, like that might be a different story. Like they might be 4-1. So the Chiefs the same thing. Falcons almost beat them. This game was close, a little bit longer than it should have been. They didn't really capitalize on a lot of those ends. Like Patrick had that terrible pick in the end zone. Which I'll blame Juju for that. Juju should have just held onto that ball. But you see a lot of these close games. Like a lot of these teams, it's. I mean, we see this in the NFL more often than not, but where it's 1 or 2 plays that's making the difference between the records. That's making the difference in the games. But I feel like this season, a 1-5 team could beat a 5-1 team this year. So
yeah,
and that is the beauty of the playoffs, and that's the only reason I wouldn't just kind of give them the three-peat already. Is like number one, there's a lot of season left. I get what you're saying, but also
I'm not saying that they're gonna clinch, for sure.
Yeah.
Get that. I'm saying it's a possibility still.
Yeah, I mean it's always
Actually,
a possibility.
didn't-
It's always a possibility if Andy Reid is coaching that team and 15 is the quarterback. And like, as much as I fucking hate to say it, like that's just the goddamn truth.
Yeah. Cool. I think we covered most games, honestly. We took a decent bit on some of them, but for the most part, those were the main ones. There's a lot of close games, good entertainment. I mean, I like sitting on the couch and watching all these ones, just because honestly, not only for fantasy, but just pure entertainment. It's good to see close games, specifically high-scoring games, and not like a 9-10. When they're constantly scoring and it's close, that's the stuff to look forward to.
I didn't fall asleep this week.
So when it comes to the Chiefs, honest to God, guys, I really feel like the Ravens could be the ones that knock them out of it.
We thought that last
So,
year.
I mean,
The Ravens were the best
team.
team in the league last year.
No, but like this year, like they went through some adversity very early in the season, like with the two losses back to back to division teams too. Like you know what I mean? Like they're division rivals.
But if we're talking about
You know,
adversity,
then they got their little tune
two
up with the
upset every quarter.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know, they got their little thing going with the Cowboys. They got their tune up, and I say tune up because for a majority of that game they were whooping their ass until they let them catch up in the back end. And, then they went over to the Bills and they beat the shit out of them, and they just put it with. They just had a really good game against the Bengals. I think this next game against the Commanders, these next two games actually against the Commanders and the way they play against the Buccaneers, is really gonna show us like, hey, you know what? I think these guys might be able to really do it this year. Where I'm not saying they may go to the Super Bowl, but I could see them possibly knocking the Chiefs out of contention. You know what I'm saying? I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Because they do got to play, the Chiefs at least got to play one game before they get to the championship round. Unfortunately,
Chiefs play the 49ers.
there is a chance the Ravens end up playing the Chiefs, I guess you could say. Maybe in that round. There is the small chance. I don't really see it. I personally think it might come down to maybe the Ravens do go to the Super Bowl again, only because of the fact that I think if it comes down to that, them having the chance to knock the Chiefs out, it's going to be in the championship. That's my personal opinion. Honestly, I think right now, I kind of have the Ravens in a championship spot. To be real with you, like they went through some adversity. It seems like they're kind of picking it up. They're figuring out who they are. That back to the Ravens and Bengals game, not just that game, but a couple games before, Rashad Bateman getting more involved in the offense now. He had another touchdown this game. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe we are seeing a different Lamar Jackson. I don't think so too much. I think he's still going to take off every here and there, quite more often than none. But I think if he can find time to sit back maybe and have some of these games, he can actually start dispersing it out between his receivers pretty decently. Outside of that, yeah, I would just say like that. I think I don't know. I think the Ravens this year might actually have a solid chance. I didn't really tag along with that last.
Hey, that's a valid take. Like the Ravens are doing good. They're definitely people.
As far as that
Like,
conference
it's not a hot
goes,
take.
like yeah, outside of that conference, I mean, yeah, you can make an argument with the Bills, but strength wise, like I don't know. In the AFC, I really don't see anybody else as strong as the Chiefs and the Ravens right now in that area. And I'm trying to think about some right now too. Like I'm really trying to like put a solid foot forward right there and eat, because I'm even thinking about the Bills and I'm like, I don't know, guys. That's just my opinion. I think right now those guys.
There's really nobody. Maybe
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to think really,
when the
think.
if the Texans are firing on all cylinders, but I mean they're still very young.
Mhm.
I think
And they've already shown that
I
they'll
think
lose
would
multiple
be
games.
Detroit. I think Detroit can.
That's NFC.
It's the NFC.
That's not a. No, I know. But if we're talking about just like going to the championship or potentially being one of those contenders, yeah, I think Detroit.
In the NFC right now,
they're going,
I don't
they
know,
did
man. In
last
the
year
NFC,
where they made it past some playoff games. I think they won one, lost other. But yeah, it's
I
not
don't
a hot
know.
take. I think they will, continue to do good. Yeah, no, all these are likely people. It's just crazy to see how.
I'm not gonna lie. NFC wise,
can do this.
NFC wise, if my Niners could fucking pull their head out their ass, I mean, definitely, all the time, anytime. If we're in the playoffs, we'll probably end up in the championship. Period. Very rarely do we not. If we ever go into the playoffs, don't make it all the way to at least a championship. But I honestly see the fucking Commanders really high in that playoff bracket, man. Just the way they've been playing, like how you said. I see Jaden Daniels as a solid Rookie of the Year candidate. Honestly, I think he's probably the top guy right now, and he's probably got a good gap between him and the next guy. He's playing phenomenal football. You know what I mean? Both ways. He's showing that he'll drop dots on motherfuckers and he'll take off with the ball. He's showing that he could be a real good dual threat quarterback, which is really great for the Commanders. It's great to see the Commanders having some type of success as big of a drought as they've gone through. But I really do see them being like a really big contender for that one of those championship spots. To be real with you, I really do. Just because they're playing phenomenal football, and I think if they keep playing at the pace they're playing right now and just keep getting better together, it's gonna be a fucking dangerous team, man. All right, guys, thanks for jumping in again. We appreciate you guys hanging in there and hearing us jabber jaw it up. Another week of football. We'll be back next week, right after the Monday night game, as usual. And we can't wait to tune you guys in on what happens this upcoming week. Stay tuned.
Should be good.